Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines. BRICS projections are staggering, and you're going to need to know them. Expector CPO, that's right, Bob Way, talking about the Trojan horse. And we got draft stablecoin bill. We're going to talk about it. And here it is. European Union passing legislation becoming the first in the world to provide crypto regulations. It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. And what are the implications for Ripple? We're going to show you. An XRP-TA break of structure, $1 plus? Let's find out. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow us on Twitter and YouTube for exclusive content. Right now, $1.27 trillion market cap for crypto. The market is off by 1%. Good afternoon, everybody. Bitcoin now 28,800 plus, coming back a little bit from this morning, 1974 and change from Ethereum. And the market cap for crypto is, USD Tether, 81.4 billion as it stands right now. 49 cents per XRP. We're off by 1.4 on the 24-hour and 2.5 on the 7-day. Let's take a look at this. Glint, baby. We're now live with the brand new iOS version of the Glint app in the US. Don't mess around. You want to see it in action? Get out there and check it out, or click right here on my Twitter feed and check out the video so you can see what it's all about, or just download the app and get started. Gold is security. Glint, it's key. Hashtag GoldFi, baby. That's what we're talking about. Yeah. It's your alternative to currency. It's your alternative to the banking system, to be quite honest with you. Click the link underneath the video. You will not be upset about it. And when things changing around the world the way they are, I am glad I've got some gold, and I'm glad I do it with Glint. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, known as BRICS and the BRICS coalition, which is growing rapidly, are projected to pass G7 nations in global economic growth by 2028. In 5 years, 60 months. Write it down. That's what they're talking about. More than half the population of the world and a good part of the majority of the resources, natural resources of the world in these countries. It is easy to see that this projection could easily take place, right? I tell you, the world is changing rapidly, ladies and gentlemen, and you are going to see evidence of that, what the European Union has done. Shout out to Elizabeth for this one. She sits down with the one and only Chief Product Officer, former Ripple employee Bob Way, and Dirk from Expector. And listen what they have to say here. Pretty interesting here.
The thing that I found interesting about the Expector project, I didn't really approach it at first from a metaverse thing. You know, the metaverse is super fascinating in here. I really have been approaching everything about from the XRP-L perspective. The metaverse, to me, when I started talking to Dirk, is just a big, shiny excuse to be the Trojan horse for getting people to look at money and utilizing money, you know, they're in a better way, a more empowering fashion. And I thought it's also a big, shiny excuse to throw away everything that I think is broken with the traditional World Wide Web.
Absolutely. And I can't wait to hear him talk on stage at XRP Las Vegas. Dirk and Bob Way will both be there, and I couldn't be more excited to have them both on stage with us. Now, remember this from the stablecoin hearing that happened yesterday. This so-called bipartisan legislation on stablecoin provides divisive in Congress once its first draft was published. Now, here, Mr. McHenry alarmed me. This was Maxine Waters somewhat when he said that the members on his side of the aisle had come up with a whole new bill. Waters said, "The posted bill in no way represents negotiations between the two of us. I think we're starting from scratch." Now, they worked collectively in a bipartisan fashion when Maxine Waters was was the head of the FSC, Financial Services Committee. But all of a sudden, Power changes hand. And this is what I don't like about politics, right? Is the posturing for power and control and looking to stall. They're not worried about what's the best benefit for the American people. That's the lies they project, whether it's on the right side or the left side of the aisle, because they were doing it when the other side had power too. Let's face it, right? And it's despicable. They're there to do the best job for us, but no, they get lost in the power control, right? In the power struggle. And that is a shame, because you're about to see evidence of a huge part of the world that's gotten it done today. Before we get there, however, Gary must be removed. America is dying. Certainly when it comes to the innovation race, this guy is not helping here. He is asked multiple times in this about why he starts his conversation with the committee and other entities with my views or my own. Listen to this very quickly. It is so evasive and obfuscating of any responsibility or accountability. How can someone, anyone in this position, actually be a leader?
From Texas, Mr. Sessions is now recognized for 5 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. Mr. Gensler, you started your conversation with this committee with "my views are my own."
Yes,
Why did you say that?
because it's part of our law that I always say that my views are my own. They don't represent the staff or my fellow commissioners.
Do they represent the agency?
I'm here as the chair of the agency, but because I'm a member of a 5-member commission, the commission speaks as that commission, and so that's standard language that we include in each of our speeches and our testimonies.
So you don't represent the agency. You cannot speak on behalf of the agency. Why are you here?
As chair of the agency, to express the views as the chair of the agency.
Then why didn't you say I express the views as chairman as opposed to my own? I don't understand that. Those are personal. When you say my own, that's personal. Now you're contradicting that and saying as chairman.
Again, because it's written into our...
I think you ought to reevaluate that, because I think that's a complete cop-out. I think that's a cop-out that I think we hear, and that's why this committee is going to express its opinion to you today.
Yeah, and they certainly did, didn't they? And it is true it's a cop-out. And the truth is that disclaimer says the views are my own and not that of the agency. Well, if that's true, when you're asked whether Ethereum's a security or not, you should give your opinion, because it isn't the opinion of the SEC. But I think he doesn't do it because I identify Gary Gensler as a passive-aggressive coward, right? And that certainly doesn't have the makings of a leader. And the yays have it. The European Parliament, ladies and gentlemen, just voted in favor of signaling the final consent to landmark crypto legislation law. This is a very historic moment, I believe. And I tell you, the clock is ticking for the U.S. to be and remain, no, not remain, to become a leader in this digital asset revolution. European Union makes up 27 to 29 countries. And they got the job done. I tell you, and you're going to hear just how good they got it done. CZ Binance gives a pat on the back here and says basically we're going to be doing whatever we need to support this legislation that's moving through and making any adjustments to their business model to make sure that they are compliant. And in the meantime, John Deaton says in the United States, Gary Gensler may finally answer the question whether he considers ETH a security. Oh, wait. No, he won't. This gentleman's going to break down just what a historic day for crypto in Europe this really is. I want you to listen to this. It is a final green light. I tell you, this is extremely exciting because now there is real pressure outside of China alone and what they've done with the digital yuan. Things are moving very quickly now. Countries, whether it's the United States or others, better get in line and start falling in on how they're going to regulate cryptocurrencies and digital assets alike, because the entire European Union has just done it.
Regulated. That is one reason why we've seen they're associated with a lot of concerns in terms of consumer protection, market integrity, and financial stability. And these concerns have become quite clear in recent times. That is why the Commission 2 years ago put a proposal for regulation on the table, the Markets in Crypto Assets Regulation, MiCA as is known in common terms. We welcome the agreement of the co-legislators on this important text. MiCA would, for the first time, bring the vast majority of the crypto assets that are currently unregulated within the regulatory fold and address the concerns to consumers, market integrity, and financial stability. It would do so by regulating the issuers of crypto assets, including stablecoins. It will also regulate the vast universe and ecosystem out there in terms of crypto asset service providers who provide services around crypto assets. And as a result, we will have a safe and sound framework that will allow these markets to develop on a sound footing. This is the first comprehensive piece of regulation of crypto assets in the world, and we hope and trust that other regulators will follow suit, which will be important to address the risks fully of these markets that are global in nature.
I got to tell you, this is pretty darn remarkable right here. And again, you talk about setting a tone for the rest of the world. This does it at my house. And the U.S. better get in line. They better get in line pretty quickly here. And it starts with at the very least, stablecoin legislation. Well, what are the possible implications for Ripple? Well, don't forget about this. Crypto startup Ripple last November seeked a license in Ireland to drive EU expansion. Ripple was expanding its presence in the EU. Stuart Alderati was just in England, in the UK, right? Where it plans to passport its services through an entity in Ireland. This is all from Stuart Alderati, the general counsel for Ripple. Most of Ripple's business is now driven outside of the U.S., despite its large presence in the country. The SEC is suing Ripple, as we all know, right? Alderati said the FTX collapse into bankruptcy at that time, back in November, was a call to action, no doubt. And I tell you, they get access to the whole entire EU jurisdiction through this license right here. And knowing that they have just put legislation through in the green light for crypto regs, I would watch out. And speaking of watch out, this right here is Silver Guru 22. It's David Morgan, ladies and gentlemen. I think Ripple is definitely here to stay. Listen to him say it on Stansberry Research. Shout out to Matt McCall, Daniel Camboni, and everybody there over at Stansberry. Take a listen.
The UK uses Ripple for transactions, not in all of them, but in many of them. And, I don't like to I don't mind controversy, really. I think Ripple is definitely here to stay. And on the UK transaction, that's using Ripple, not XRP, just for clarification. But I think I actually made the statement, and I made it somewhat off the cuff, but there's thought behind it. I try to be, thoughtful in everything I say. But I said if the banks got in a hurry and they didn't have their project completed, which it looks like they've accelerated or they're there or close to it, they could use Ripple that's already, in place, very fast, very efficient, and very accurate accounting, to use that system as required to get this thing started if they needed it immediately.
And there you have that, ladies and gentlemen. And then we have this. Congrats to Elon on their test launch. It went well, and obviously, they gained a lot of data. It wasn't to go to outer space. It was to learn the new things they wanted to learn. But it made me think, as I was congratulating Elon, it made me think this is what I imagine XRP looking like after we have clarity in the SEC versus Ripple case, and match that up with the legislation that's just gotten the green light for the entire European Union. I tell you, things are happening fast, ladies and gentlemen. Things are happening fast.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
Now, I want you to just imagine for a second, with the legislation in the European Union, understanding the relationships we have studied for years and years on end, and just the ones that we know about, and actually getting clarity for XRP, certainly secondary market sales, and understanding that we may possibly become the only digital asset with that clarity. Before we get out of here, let's take a look at this for clarity. We need to break this structure, a break of structure here as he's showing us. This is Egg Rag Crypto saying the daily 43 cents, but versus the weekly $1. How? Well, there's your change of structure area right here. You can see it. He's pointing out. And right here, you see this. If we get up above that 60-cent range, it looks like we're chasing down $1 to me. I don't know about to you, but I want to break some structure just like that rocket on SpaceX launch and see it. But I want to have clarity be the reason for it, ladies and gentlemen, because once we get clarity, we understand U.S. adoption and world adoption can explode to a level that we've never even dreamed of witnessing, because what would be holding it back then? Not financial advice from me or anyone else. It's just my digital perspectives. I'll catch all of you on the next one.